I think he's dangerous. He's not crazy, but he's dangerous.
Milos Forman, the chronicler of individual dissent, the Czech-American filmmaker who empathizes with the outsider.
Free expression is absolute.
Randall McMurphy, the charismatic anti-hero, challenges the status quo in a mental institution. In the process, the character transcends the narrative to become a symbol of rebellion and individualism, just as McMurphy's nemesis, the authoritarian nurse Rachel, represents authority and conformity. In the largely fictionalized rivalry between the composers Salieri and Mozart, Forman reflects on the broader power dynamics within the imperial court. While pompously claiming to be the patron of the arts, the state also plays the role of arbiter and rewards a certain level of conformity. From exploring hippie counterculture to devising extravagant tales of American bad boys, Forman's films have a carnivalesque undercurrent that repeatedly questions societal norms. In fact, the institutional critique and unique blend of absurd humor and pathos were part of Milos Forman's cinema long before he transitioned to the Hollywood mainstream. However, the expressions of nonconformity are nuanced and indirect in Forman's earlier Czech films. Particularly, who can forget this seminal portrait of bureaucratic mess and human absurdity? The filmmaker's third and final Czech film that ignited a firestorm of controversy.
Why did you leave Czechoslovakia?
Because of this film, Fireman's Ball, because they showed the film to the Politburo. When the film finished, that the president, Novotny, who was also the first secretary of the party, and he was just expressing the greatest disgust, you know, about the film. And the film was officially banned. In that time...
The Czech New Wave flourished between 1963 and 1968 due to a unique confluence of political, cultural, and artistic factors. A brief thaw in the rigid communist regime allowed for a degree of artistic freedom, and it coincided with the rise of a new generation of filmmakers eager to challenge the status quo. But this phase of political liberalization, often termed the Prague Spring, came to a screeching halt when the Soviet tanks rolled into Prague in August 1968. The Czech New Wave filmmakers were influenced by other international film movements such as the French New Wave and Italian Neorealism. Their authentic film language sought to portray real life and ordinary people while rejecting the idealized style of Soviet socialist realism. Of course, the Czech New Wave's experimental spirit allowed space for surreal elements to amplify the social and political critique. Milos Forman, however, predominantly used a documentary gaze in his narrative films. From his first film, Black Peter, Forman shot on location and cast non-professional actors. While the documentary feel of the narrative brings a sense of authenticity and realism, Forman's sharp eye for detail focuses on the absurd and amusing aspects of his characters' day-to-day situations. The filmmaker's ability to evoke comical subtext from ordinary circumstances offered a few memorable, hilarious scenes in his second film. For instance, the singles Matching Party, Loves of a Blonde follows a small-town factory girl navigating her limited options of love. Angela's pursuit of her desires and independence is impacted by the restrictive and dehumanizing environment. The situational and physical comedy arising from Angela's innocence and awkward interactions doesn't undermine the character. Instead, her vulnerability makes her relatable and evokes empathy. Abandoning the intimate portraiture of Loves of a Blonde, Forman shifts his lens from the individual to the collective in his next film. By characterizing the collective absurdities of a community, he exposed the universal human follies.
It's not really that hard to look at this movie and see it as a critique of Soviet occupation. While at the same time, it was an enormous hit when it first came out in America and around the world simply because it was so funny.
The members of a provincial fire department organize a ball to honor their retired former fire chief. A golden axe will be awarded in recognition of the 86-year-old man's service. Besides the music and dance, the bumbling firemen have planned a fundraising raffle and a beauty pageant. Only nothing works out as planned. From the confusion in rounding up the beautiful woman to people stealing the raffle prizes, chaos and mishaps keep escalating over the night. The lechery and cluelessness on display while selecting the beauty contest participants underscore the ridiculousness of the situation. The contest, however, is disrupted when the embarrassed young women run away. The film's tragicomic tone reaches its peak when a fire breaks out at a farmhouse. With a fire engine stuck in the snow, the firefighters only manage to save the old man, a few pieces of furniture, and his cattle. But they are unable to do anything about the fire, as only showers of snow are thrown at it. Forman further highlights the absurdities as people are unsure how to handle the old man. One stands in front of the house to hide it from him, another asks to turn around the grandpa to spare him from the devastation. If the grandpa is feeling cold, shouldn't he be moved closer to the fire? So, he is moved closer but asked to not look. The fire also becomes a part of the evening entertainment. The barman promptly sets up a drinks table. Of course, the house burns to the ground. While the firemen organize a collection to help the old man, the people, in all their earnestness, donate their raffle tickets. The plate full of pieces of paper doesn't mean anything because many of the raffle prizes have already been stolen. Attempting to return all the prizes only causes more turmoil.
Když si to ty lidi rozkradli, tak to nemůžou vyhrát.
Jak k tomu přijdou ty lidi, co si vlastně poctivě koupili a nic si nenakradli?
Měli si nakrást.
Amidst all the empty gestures and futile efforts, the firemen have forgotten their former chief. Finally, upon receiving the gift, the 86-year-old man offers a poignant speech. He then opens the velvet-padded box. Fireman's Ball's merit is often equated with its allegorical reading. However, this comedy of errors has broader social implications that go beyond the 1960s Czechoslovakia. Like the great Charlie Chaplin, who mocked as well as empathized with the little tramp, Milos Forman makes us laugh at his characters, but at the same time, he looks at them with tenderness and sympathy. The inept organizers come close to becoming types, yet their behaviors and attitudes invite understanding rather than judgment. Therefore, Forman's film becomes a commentary on our shared human frailties and absurdities of the system we inhabit. At the end of all misfires and mayhem, the people pretend and lie to themselves. They have to go on as if nothing has happened, which makes them neither good nor bad. They are just human, nothing more, nothing less.